Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Another back at you real quick, y'all sabes. But like I always do, I'm gonna send my shots out. First and foremost, shots out to Bonilo from Long Beach, 21st and Cerritos for giving me the idea for this video. Shots out to you. Shots out to Fly West. They got a song out called The Team. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link. You know, they bridging that black and Mexicano shit. So yeah, just go ahead and check them out. To P.Supremo. He got a song called Suicide Business. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop his link to the homie Coachella Valley, COPWATCH. Go ahead, I'm gonna drop his link to his channel. To Kendall 5, mi panameño, you know what I mean? He got his shit going with his clothes, so go ahead and check him out. To Sound of the Streets, you know, this all about basically the street rap, you know what I mean? Like the hard stuff, not that, you know, the watered down stuff. So I'm gonna drop the link to their channel on IG. To Bay Recon, he got something come out. It's the homie from upstate. To King Squad TV, once again in the Bronx. Y'all saw his salute. And to the homies in Downey, y'all saw this. Well, let's get into it. Basically, today's gonna be something a little bit light. It's basically, you know, what it is to be like a black dude dating a Latina. And for the most part, like I always say, for the most part, it's kind of difficult. At first, when you know, you're black and you're dealing with a Latina. See, I kind of had a leg up in a certain way, but I still, you know, at the end of the day, it was somewhat of a plight. I won't say somewhat of the plight, but basically I still had something going against me, and that was just black. And you know, for the most part, you know, unless the hyena grew up in a particular neighborhood to where, you know, there's a mixture of black and Mexicano, she's kind of gonna be a little standoffish. And dealing with that was like, you know, when I was finally able to get my first Mexicana, was something a little I won't say difficult, because around that time I was already banging. I had been in the bottom for a minute, so most of the hyenas already knew basically what I ran. But even that, you know, there was a level of distance. It's simply for the fact, like when I first started off, you know, you're young, you know, your slang is a lot different, a lot more grimy. So hyenas that, you know, and I'm not talking, like I said, I'm not talking about the hyenas that are from like you know, South Central, the ones, and not all the hyenas, because there's still hyenas in South Central, you know, that don't fuck with black dudes, and, you know, for the, whatever preference they have, you know what I mean? But, you know, for the most part, like growing up in San Fernando Valley, a lot of hyenas that were Mexicana didn't fuck with black dudes like that. And no matter where you're from, it didn't matter. They weren't going to give you the time of the day. And I had to learn how to get around that. I say the hardest thing about dealing with Latinas, especially Mexicanas in Los Angeles, is the fact that you don't have to just deal with them. You got to deal with their family. Once you figure out the angle to get them, because with any chick in this world, there's always an angle, and you just got to learn how to play them angles. There ain't too many women in this world that are uncrackable. You know what I mean? There's some that might give you you know, a hard time, but you know, for the most part, there's always an angle to go about getting them. Like, you know, I say, as far as Latinas, a lot of Mexicanas like the fact that you embrace their culture. You know what I mean? Maybe if you learn a little Spanish and, you know, learn to, you know, be able to function within their family, because at the end of the day, you're going to face opposition. Even me being a homie, I faced opposition just due to the fact that some families were still a little standoffish. They see a black dude, especially me, walk in the house, you got Frisco, Benz, Cortez, you know, you're big to the skin, and your whole demeanor spells gangster. So, you know, that put them a little standoffish, and also the fact that, you know, a black dude walking in the house, and that's not to say that that Mexicanos are racist. It's just they don't understand the culture. The cultures are similar, but yet a lot different. A certain way that people conduct themselves as far as Mexicanos in Los Angeles, and then, you know, for somebody, you know, such as myself, to walk in the house and they really don't know nothing about me, not knowing whether I'm going to come in and destroy their culture, because for the most part, that's what it comes down to. A lot of Mexicano families are accepted. They accept you as long as you're not coming in to shift their culture. And what I mean by shifting their culture is you got these hyenas that they change totally. You know, they do their hair different. They sound black. They just, you know, and not just, I'm not talking about, you know, saying the N-word and whatever, but I'm just talking about change their whole stilo to the fact that they don't even like their own people, period. They don't like nothing, you know what I mean? And I've ran into hyenas that are like that, and those are pretty much not the ones I like to deal with. I mean, to each is their own, but you know, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we all got our preference. But as far as like being black and dealing with Latinas, like I said, it was somewhat difficult. It's simply for the fact that, they had a certain stilo, you know what I mean? And like I said, not the ones that, grew up in a grimy neighborhood and may be a lot more acceptable. They might be a lot more open to dealing with blacks. And, in some cases, some people are fine with that. They don't mind the Hina that's been with a gang of black dudes, and so it makes their road a lot easier. At the end of the day, they still got what they want. They got Americana. But I'm just gonna say, like, the ones that I particularly went after back in the days was the ones, long hair, no, their stilo was just straight Mexicana, or no matter what they are. If they were Salvadorans, they were straight Salvadoran. There was no cut. They didn't deal with nobody else but their own. Them were the type I chose to go after because I like that challenge. So much so that around the age of 11, I just stopped messing with black girls, period. Everything I went after was either white girls or Mexicanas. And I eventually I ditched the güeritas because they weren't hard for me to get no more. You know what I mean? And Mexicanas have always been a challenge in order to get. But, just being with, I'll say like this. For the people, you know what I mean, especially like dude Boney Loke, you know what I mean? I understand where he was coming from when he was like, yeah, no matter what he does, it always seems like the road is hard when you're dealing with Latinas because, they're used to certain things, and, being black is a different culture than, being Mexicano. So, he just wanted me to talk about the fact that, that the road was hard and what I thought about it. And for the most part, I'm just going to say that at the end of the day, it comes down to this. You're always going to have opposition. You're always going to deal with the fact that some family members that don't want to deal with you. And the Hainas that really give two F's about you, they're not going to care what their family say. They're still going to be respectful towards their family because for the most part, that's how it goes. But they're not going to let anything come in the way of you and them if they're really into you. Now, you got some Hainas out there that are straight hood rats, you know what I mean? And they only deal with black fools because they were blown out by their own. I mean, and that's not no shots at the Hainas, but there's some Hainas that I know that only mess with black dudes because they were blown out and, the homies no longer want to deal with them. So, in order to be able to, still handle them, they had to go to something else, you know what I mean? And those I recommend you to avoid, you know what I mean? Those are the type of Hainas that they're only there for a certain reason and they're really not trying to embrace anything about you. They're just trying to get what they get because they're selfish and, them are the ones to avoid. But yeah, as far as dealing with Latinas, you got to understand that they're just different. You got I won't say all black chicks, but like you got a lot of black chicks that, that if once they get mad, they fight you, depending on where you live at and how their mindset is, but they want to fight you. Dealing with a Latina, she not going to fight, she want to stab you. You know what I mean? That's just, it's the blood. It's like super hot and it's just the way they run. So you got to really maneuver on the way you deal with them. You got to understand that their family is not always going to be acceptable. The fact that you're black doesn't mean that they have anything particular against you. It's just everybody's has fear that their culture is going to be slighted or put in the background. You know what I mean? It's like some Asian chicks when, I never really had an Asian chick myself, but I've seen friends that had Asian chicks, and the one thing their family was worried about is for her to forget her tradition because she's trying to embrace another tradition. And like with me, I don't mind if if I seen a Haina that's Mexicana that's embracing the black culture, you know what I mean? That's her way of doing things. That's just the way she chose to go. Me personally, that's not the type of Haina I go for. I usually go for the ones that are just that never been with nothing outside of her own race. That's the ones I usually go for because I know it's once I get them, it's because of me, not because they just, they just like the chocolate, you know what I mean? And for the most part, there's a lot of Hainas out there that just go for the chocolate because that's all they know, you know what I mean? And so dealing with Latinas is just one of those things that if you're gonna get with them, you're just gonna have to understand that it's gonna be a difficult road sometimes. My boy from V&E, I remember when me and him was talking, he was telling me about some crib dude that got with his sister, you know what I mean? And for the most part, I think it was something that she just got into, and it's just something different, that the culture has changed, and a lot of people are more open dealing with other races, you know what I mean? And I think he made it worse, and not the fact that he was racist. He just was more scared, you know what I mean? Because he felt like, you know, she was gonna leave her culture. You know, all of them from Durango, you know what I mean? And they were like really a really close knitted family with strong Mexicano ties, you know what I mean, as far as like roots. So the first time ever seeing a Moreno come in, and he just felt like it was gonna change everything, you know what I mean? So he, you know, he had this he was a little standoffish, you know what I mean, and gave the dude a hard time. But at the end of the day, you know, he realized that it wasn't his sister just loved that food, and it's just the way it is. And what was funny is because the parents, this is what I talk about when people say that Mexicans are racist. The family embraced him so quick. It was just like one of those like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Like the dude was literally coming to the house, the mom and everybody cooking him breakfast and lunch and dinner. And the homie was just like, you know, after a while, he had to come to terms with it. But it's not saying that the road will always be easy, but just understand when you're dealing with Latinas, they are a certain way, and the easiest way to I won't say conform, but to be more presentable to their folks is to learn something about them. Any culture that you decide to participate in, as far as like interacting with, you want to learn something about them. I mean, you have people that go around all day that know absolutely nothing about the people that they hang around. It's like when people say, oh, you're Mexican, but this dude is Salvadoran, or you're Salvadoran, but this food, because the way he kind of sounds, oh, this food turns out he's from Honduras, or he's a Chapin, or, you know, like people see me, you know what I mean? They know absolutely nothing about me other than what I tell them. A lot of people that know me don't know shit about my family outside of what we let them know, you know what I mean? When people see the Panama flag, they automatically assume 80% of the population of Panama is mestizo. It's a mixed culture, you know what I mean? You got people from West Indies, you got Chinese there, you got Arabic, you got everything, you know what I mean? So for the most part, you never know what you're gonna run into. Birete, that was my boy. They call him Panama Red. He ran with the blacks. He was older, but if you look at him, you would never know. But if you heard him speak Spanish, then you would understand. My Spanish is different because the people I hang around, all the people I mostly hang around are Mexicanos. I can twist my Spanish up because I deal with Salvadorians, Hondureños, and mostly fools from Central, Colombianos. I deal with everything. So you would never know exactly what it is by hearing me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when people say, oh, your voice is low. I just got a soft voice. Maybe my nuts didn't drop. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. You know, it's just the way it is. But I'm still sweet with them hands, though. But, yeah, for the most part, you know what I mean? That's all I want to talk about. I'm glad he gave me this topic. But, you know, for the people thinking about getting into Latinas and you're outside of their race, embrace their culture. You know what I mean? Learn something about them. A lot of Hainas are impressed with the fact that you maybe know a little bit of Spanish and willing to want to learn Spanish. That's all it comes down to. Nobody really, unless they're, like I said, a little hood, nobody really wants to bring you into their culture knowing that you're not trying to learn nothing about them. If you're not trying to learn even a little bit of Spanish to at least be able to conversate with her folks, then, you know, you got to understand when she's a little standoffish. And also understand that you're always going to have some bit of drama. Like, I still get mad, dog. You know what I mean? And to understand where I'm from. I've had, and I can't say, you know, I didn't want to make the video too long, but I can't say that my road was that much easier. Being a homie and being a cholo and being black, you know, you're afforded certain opportunities as far as like certain Hainas will deal with you just for that fact that you are a homie. It's just the way it is. So after a while, my road became a lot easier. Now it's to the point that I really have no problem getting no Mexicana. But understand that the Mexicanas that I go after are the ones that have never been with no black dudes. And that's just my preference. You know what I mean? I have nothing against them. I'm not mad if they're, you know what I mean? But for the most part, that's what I'm going to go after. You know what I mean? And it's been proven so far. Will it ever change? Who knows? I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm older now, and it's just like I'm set. You know what I mean? So yeah, for the people that are thinking about, you know, getting Mexicanos, understand that they are a little feisty and they can get really active if you push them. And, you know, just be careful when you're dealing with them, because Latinas are like no other. You know what I mean? They're just, it's like, you know, just like black girls ain't like no other. It's just something just dealing with them. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta learn to maneuver and understand that the road will be hard. So, you know, I reiterate that fact. Just learn to embrace the culture. You ain't gotta change your whole style and be me. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta be cholo. You ain't gotta be fluent in Spanish. All you gotta do is be able to accept certain things and be able to, you know, interact. Certain people, understand certain people in their family might not like you. But at the end of the day, as long as you win her over, you're good. So, you know, don't listen to your boy Black saying it's going to be easy, because it's not. But for the most part, a lot of shit is changing and opportunities arise. So, you know, take them opportunities and stop getting these duckhead ones and saying that these bad ones is, you know, nah. It's just, you got a duckhead, and learn that she's Mexicana, not Salvadoran, and she's Salvadoran and not Mexican. That's the worst thing you can do, is go into a family and be like, oh yeah, you know, in Mexico, and then they turn out to be Salvadoran. That's like a slap in the face, and it's just the way it is. Their culturas are a lot different in certain ways. Just learn your culture, learn to embrace them, and understand, like I said, that dealing with certain Latinas, they're going to be hot blooded, and you just got to learn to roll with them. And I'm your boy Zod, and hopefully that video didn't bore you to death. And on that note, I'm out. I'm spun off that coffee.